Hello and welcome to my analysis of the new Kirby trailer. I'm not trying to open this video, but I've been waiting a very long time for this game, and I will examine it a ton before it releases. I'm probably not going to make another video on it though. So, to get right into it, at the start of the trailer we have this signature mall, and this seems to be a dev camera because we see the same shot during gameplay later on. And we see some birds, and that gives us some hints that there's more animalistic creatures in this game, like the big snake and gorilla later in the trailer. There's also a cipher in the background, which the Kirby community has translated mostly to English. Credit to this username on Twitter that I'm not going to try to pronounce for this image. In this next shot, we have a billboard with a car, which also appears in promo art. The hood is adorned with a star, one of the few environmental elements to have that imagery, although there is more. Compared to Star Allies, for example, I'm going to put the images on screen. Next is the shot of Kirby waking up on the beach, with a small design change made to his eyes. They have some greens in them. The camera goes behind his back, which has been likened to Crash Bandicoot. I think Crash Bandicoot, though, is a greasy scrimblow that doesn't deserve the attention it gets, so I will not make that comparison. In fact, I won't even put a picture of him on screen. As Kirby runs off, we see a crab and a starfish, just like the birds. And could this hint at the game taking place on Earth? I'm hesitant to say yes, since Kirby is most commonly depicted as 8 inches tall, but they seem to change their minds on that all the time. In the next scene, Kirby runs towards the city scene in the opening shots. Presumably, this is where the game really starts. However, this could easily just be a transition for the trailer. The title of the game, Forgotten Land, is a bit of a mystery. Obviously, Kirby characters live here, but who forgot it? A lot of people are pointing towards humans like Adeline. The GBA Onward logo has also changed. Now it's blue and yellow like the original Kirby's Dream Land. The name also parallels Kirby's Dream Land. And here we are at the 3D Kirby. This likely represents some sort of new beginning for the franchise. Notably, no major named characters aside from Kirby appear in this trailer, not even Dedede. In this next shot, we see the hallway from the opening shot. Aside from the fast food sign, we also see a poster for some dogs with egg bodies. These have been likened by fans to be the Dream Hatcher from HAL's logo, which, yes, it does have a name. There's also this butterfly, who some have linked to Morpho Knight's butterfly, but in my opinion he's way too yellow and we've seen normal butterflies before in the series. Next up is this sign and these fox guys that inhabit the mall. That sign clearly has Kirby crossed out, and these new mooks are seemingly replacing royalties for this game, kinda like NZ from Kirby 64. I speculate that they are the main baddies for the Beast Corps, like Securities for Sectonia. Here we get our first taste of how gameplay really works. It seems that in this game it's relatively straightforward, with side secrets like in the 2D Kirby games. That may disappoint some people that it isn't sandbox, but like, did you play Battle Royale and Blow Up Blast? I'm personally hoping for at least a free choice of level order, seeing as how Kirby games are pretty easy across the board. Not long after Kirby incorrectly goes up the escalator, we see a shadow move above and in front of Kirby. Based on the silhouette, we can easily see this guy is the gorilla seen later in the trailer. This is further supported by the horde of bananas in the hallway to the right of Kirby. In the following shot, we have Kirby climb across what I can only assume are the remains of a dam. Of course, this section is also fairly railroaded, but I won't touch on that for future shots. Unrelated, here's the same ladder model we see later in the trailer. To me, it looks like Kirby no longer makes a star pop up upon leaving the ground, although it may just not be implemented yet. Kirby lands in a more open area with what is our first confirmed enemy to yield a copy ability, Hothead. Despite appearing multiple times in the trailer, we never get a real close-up, but it looks like he got a small redesign. After this shot of Kirby and Kaboo on a spire, we get this scene of a group of ducklings following around Kirby in an amusement park. Once again, we see the dog eggs with an interstellar theming. They seem to be mascots of some sort for the former inhabitants. Back to the ducks, this might be an escort mission level gimmick, kind of like the robot in Kirby Planet Robot. Also, there's real-world animals again. Next up is Kirby riding a Warp Star, which was sparingly used in Star Allies, being relegated to map traversal and the ending cutscene. For a brief moment, you can spot Poppy Bros Jr., presumably confirming the bomb ability. And while the scene cuts, we can notice the ladder, possibly indicating multiple paths to the goal. Here we have Kirby performing his signature inhale on one of the new mooks. He gets what seems to be a point star, something he's never done in previous installments. He then spits out the enemy, but not as a star bullet, something that previously only other players got treated to. Is this the death of the star bullet? Also, Sir Kibble is there to confirm Cutter is back. Even further back, there seems to be a blue thing. I've seen someone think it's Bugsy, but I'm not sure on that. He's kind of purple. The scene following that has Kirby inhale a much larger enemy, yielding a green point star, which in the modern games is worth 5 point stars. Then we have a giant gator who is presumably part of the Beast Corps trying to eat Kirby. Kirby looks to be hovering towards a warp star, but there are also point stars and food in the background. He also looks very shiny like the gator, perhaps he just got out of the water. As of writing this, we still don't have confirmation on how hovering works, but most are assuming it works like the other 3D games where Kirby slowly descends after a while. Next shot has Kirby climbing up the famous yellow ladder, but there are more interesting things here. For one, Gabon is back and stands on a large star block which isn't aligned with the smaller one next to it. Historically, star blocks are basically never like this. There's also a bomb block that doesn't seem to be attached to any star or metal blocks. Once again, the warp star can be briefly seen. Next up is a doozy. We have what seems to be untouched pop flowers, which appear multiple times in the trailer, as well as what looks to be a new needle enemy. In this next scene, Kirby is jump scared by some cutout monsters. This looks to be a new form of dodge from the previous games, but it's up for debate. There's also the appearance of a star door, but it's far more integrated into the level design than other Kirby games. Once again, we have Kirby running forward, with Blade Knight confirming the sword ability. I speculate this is near the place we first see Hothead. There's also a cage, filled with innocent Waddle Dees. There are 3 blue and red things above it, but I cannot tell what they are. They disappear in the next shot, where Waddle Dees are released. They are released from the personal hell, with one of them looking like a darker shade of orange, a trait attributed to Bandana D. Then we have proper confirmation of Sword Kirby, complete with a new sound effect. We also see Kirby using a basic sword slash out of a dash, something that he was only capable of doing in Battle Royale, as dash attacks were mapped to another button. Then we are shown the Horde Tramps, which seem to act basically the same as last time. There are also the returning collapse blocks. Next is the proper return of Cutter, along with a blink and you miss it naughty. Unlike the 2D games, Cutter can nab collectibles. I wonder if the whip ability might not return because of this. There's also a whirlpool, but we don't get to see what's causing it. In the next scene, we have Kirby get the needle ability from an unknown source, presumably those purple spiked guys. He looks to still be in the mall. We view him tumbling through a group of the new mooks, sticking them through his needles, which has been compared to Katamari Damacy. The fire ability is shown off with a new form of an elongated Gordo. Immediately after is the ice ability, being the last confirmed ability for the trailer, along with the return of Korori from Dreamland 3. Also like Sword, Ice uses basic attacks right after a dash. Another bomb block is shown, but here it's connected to some metal blocks. Finally, we are shown the gorilla with the Waddle Dee cage on him. Kirby seems to be very expressive in this game. And we are introduced to this blue rat thing, better seen in this Kirby Twitter art. He seems to be fought in an arena similar to Void Termina from Star Allies, and it seems you also may be able to get the sword ability during the fight. I could be wrong though, and these are just 2 different takes of the same fight. We then have ourselves a view of the city, which tells us very little. And that was a good space world. Hope you're ready for next time.